Welcome out to another episode of our little chats here, back and forth. Logan here from Decode Your Reality. I got my great friend Jordan from Waters Above Crypto, and this is our part 4 in now our series. And because a lot of you liked it, we're going to do our little introductions, our little Michael Buffer ring announcement introduction. So here we go. Now I'm going to start off, and then Jordan, you can jump in.
Sounds
Welcome
good,
everybody to see. Whenever it's crazy because whenever I want to do it, I can't fucking do it. I can't do it. I don't. It's crazy. I know how to do it, but I can't do it. I don't know. It's really weird.
It's so much better with the bloopers, man.
It is.
So much better.
So you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna.
Let me kick it off for you.
You kick it off.
All right. Welcome to another day in the Matrix. Waters Above Crypto. Sending you all love and high vibrations here from the firmament.
Nice. And a very grand welcome to all the fellow decoders out there around the world, wherever you are. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality and Waters Above Crypto. There we go, folks. I got it right the second time around. Thanks, Jordan, for kicking that off.
No problem, man.
Crazy how you just did my brain. But anyway, folks, thanks for joining in, Jordan and I. And the topic, which is going to be very branched out, is let's talk about magic. And really, that's what this reality is all about, is magic. And Jordan, I was just mentioning to you that I feel that most people do not even know what magic means and how it works. And, there's so many layers to this. As I'm speaking, I'm using my throat chakra and I'm speaking my magic spells. People are getting that position on this reality, but it obviously goes far, far deeper than that. And obviously the big buzz topics out there are delivering to the world their layers of magic, and it's a give and take kind of thing. So whatever the topic is that's on the forefront of your mind and you're diving into, you're essentially feeding that. Whatever you're talking about to your neighbor, to your friend, to your lover, you're feeding that, and you're constantly using your magical abilities. So that's kind of my little introduction words. Jordan, what do you got to say about magic, man?
Well, I think I actually woke up to it through some of the conversations that I've had with people about our realm and kind of like where I stand in my position on what's going on here. And for instance, when we first started talking, I believe on our first podcast, you were asking me about where I got my name from. And we were talking about Waters Above and the firmament and the tie back to Wernher von Braun. And the, I believe NASA is the greatest magician of all time. And I was looking at that perspective of, if you could get enough people to believe in globe Earth, then essentially you could have people believe, and in the other direction, we have flat Earth. And you see Netflix come out with a documentary talking about flat Earth. And it starts to make you wonder, they're essentially just building this incredible duality on both sides where you can create division and separation amongst people based on their belief systems. And I'm under this kind of, I kind of settle on the idea that belief is a barrier, not a bridge. And our belief plasmatizes whatever we want to happen into reality, into our reality. And if you could, you could magnify that by a large portion of the population, you're essentially spellcasting everyone. And that's where we have the magic of belief. And it goes back to time, or it goes back to the way our calendar is structured, or just anything going on. Belief essentially is the greatest magic that exists. And perhaps the people at the higher levels that are actually performing magic, the occult, that is exactly all they're doing. They're essentially just believing in whatever they're practicing, and therefore it can manifest into the physical realm.
Yeah, very well said, man. Very, very well said. there's conscious magic going on and then there's unconscious magic, but essentially it's kind of like the Force in Star Wars, great rendition of how I think it works is that there's no good or bad. It's just the Force. And then the intention behind it will end up labeling it as good or bad. So it's the same thing with the magic. And then, we get into the topic of deception versus influence, which we've already covered. And, is there a difference between the two? Right? Now we get into, I started to decode the kind of the breakdown of words. And I mean, not the breakdown of sentences and words and nouns, pronouns, adjectives, and verbs. And the numbers on that is staggering. I may end up, it's shelved right now, but it's pretty staggering. But the magic being done on the world stage right now is obviously very blatant. There's no hiding anything anymore, but when it was hidden, it wasn't hiding because people weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me growing up, I was born in the 70s, pretty much the 80s is my roots. And even back then, there was a ton of magic going on, but yet people didn't realize it because I didn't know at the time. If I go back to the 80s, I mean, I was growing up as a kid and I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was still going on.
Yeah, I think 9/11, that ritual in and of itself was absolutely the game changer of the elite or world rulers coming out from the curtain, at least peeking out from the curtain, kind of like the Wizard of Oz moment. But actually, I think the pandemic was the true apocalypse. It was the unveiling, the unveiling, if you will. And I think that this was the first time ever, maybe in at least 100 years, where we've seen these elites step in front of the curtain and kind of just show us who they are and what they're about. And now it's no longer in hiding. It's no longer esoteric, right? It's becoming exoteric.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, damn, it's hard to go a full day without some new psyop and the planning of this. And I think that's the beauty of people who are decoding right now, like mine and your work. Every day I could come up with an answer finally for what's happening. And my work, of course, centers around cryptocurrency in the markets. And I'm able to prove this day after day after day in the code why this is happening. Yeah. And that's creating a massive awakening, I believe. The people who are following mine and your work, and then they're starting to do their own decodes, and it's building quite an immense layer and foundation that gives some answers to what's been going on all along that we might not have even considered. And I believe me and you had a little conversation talking about the Wizard of Oz, and the code of that is so mind-boggling, and it was a long time ago. And this has always been going on. I just think perhaps we needed something to trigger in us to start noticing it. I don't know what that is necessarily, but since starting my channel, I remember I used to do this thing once a month when I started, where I would ask people near the end of the month, let us know in your comments your red pill moment, right? Whatever the moment was that kind of kick-started your enlightenment. And I'll preface this with, the red pill is not a good thing. The red pill and the blue pill are the same. Yep. They're just duality, right? Yep. But this red pill moment, for semantics, a lot of people answered with 9/11. And maybe you could write this down. Let's remind ourselves to talk about the 9/11 ritual from a magic perspective, because I think we could have a really good time talking about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I've broken it down a few times. From the George Bush being in Florida with the kids as that happened, and the kite, steel, hit, must, all that stuff. And just the school that they were at doing the latitude longitude. See, there's just so many, when you're a decoder and you realize that there's all these moving parts kind of in this melting pot, and then you stand back and you look at it and you just take away the people that are actually perhaps conscious of the magic that's going on, then you see the magic that they're not even conscious of. the layers that would have to go. It's not possible to get all these layers. I don't think it's possible to get all these layers involved to where you have everybody in on the conspiracy, that big buzzword, right? And it's the same thing with the event that just happened just last week, is that there's just so many moving parts that everybody would have to be in on the conspiracy. So the magic that's being portrayed, or the magic that was being portrayed there, is so deep. And people are just, from what I see anyway, is that the majority of people are just on the surface of it.
Yeah.
They're on the fringe. They're just looking. They're not on the court playing. They're just an onlooker, just observing. But when you get on the court and you start to play as a decoder, like you and I are, you start to see the machinations of how magic really works. And it's so deep and endless that, to me personally, the only conclusion that I've been able to come to is that it's the wizard. If we want to just use that, since you mentioned it, it's the Wizard of Oz that's running the machinations of the magic. And it is a Ponzi scheme. I have a decode coming out on that actual topic, Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And that's what I feel it is. Yeah.
I love when people talk about certain things being a Ponzi, but then they disregard all the other, like, acceptable Ponzi schemes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, that's always one thing, you know, and I could add that to the conspiracy conversation. It's sometimes when you start, when you are illumined and you start to perhaps become a decoder, you start looking into things from a perspective of trying to see their underlining, you know, blueprint, if you will. When you're doing that, it's so easy to jump to conclusions. You know what I mean? I think me and you have gotten far enough now that we could have a very deep conversation about how quick people are to point a finger and blame and make it all about the elites. And I'm just going to stick with the word elite for the rest of the conversation so I don't have to say multiple words, because I know you know what I mean, and I assume the listeners also do, coming from both of our platforms. But whomever is of the bloodline, which we aren't. And this is kind of an interesting thing, like how they're using whatever they could use at their in their toolbox, as you would also, you know, like we would, if we were given an opportunity to see what the future looks like, or to plan a world event to keep our 1% safe, we probably could continue to do such, because any animal would do that. It's just maintaining position. So they are the wizards. And we're just kind of having to see it from a perspective that is, you know, perhaps not necessarily just about being evil. It's about maintaining position. And that's a totally different thing, you know. And of course, that comes back to our deception versus influence conversation, because that's ultimately how everyone would want to pin that down as. When the animal's, you know, setting a trap for another animal for its food for the day, is that deception?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hungry, man.
Yeah.
Like these elites are not our species. They are not me and you. They are a different entity.
Agreed.
And that entity feeds on a different calorie source, a different energy source. It has a different blood type. Everything about it is essentially extraterrestrial to what we are.
Yeah.
And we are their food in all ways, shapes, and forms. Physically, consciously, spiritually, sexually. We are their food in all ways. And I believe that is the greatest magic that very few people consider.
Very well said, man. You know, is it a coincidence that Wizard of Oz, those words are a direct match to the words "In God We Trust"? Wizard of Oz is 50 and God We Trust is 50. Is that an accident? And where does that magic fit into play? You know, I know that wasn't even in line with you talking about I'm typing away as you were speaking bloodline and Wizard of Oz and all this stuff. But you know, we may not be their bloodline, but we're our bloodline. And I believe that obviously I feel that we, the people that are listening to this transmission, will be victorious. And we're creating our own magic now, consciously, because we've become aware of it. And that's important, ladies and gentlemen.
That's facts. That's facts.
Right. And so I will suggest to each and every one of you, and I can't be any more serious to each and every one of you, that whatever you're paying attention to, you got to really pay attention to what you're paying attention to, because anything that you're talking about, speaking about, thinking about, you are performing a ritual, your own ritual, which involves magic, and it is taking your attention and directing it towards these topics. So, Jordan, as I mentioned to you, that Travis Scott guy, if you go type that into, I just did a search on it yesterday. I'm like, and 308 million results came back. Guess who's getting all that energy?
Yeah.
That dude, right? That dude, you like him or not, still getting it. Part of the story. And, where does that go? What happens to it? So I was mentioning to you, I was reluctant to decode the Astroworld topic. I was reluctant to do it. I had donations, suggestions coming in, and I'm like, I just, but then of course I watched a few movies that had nothing to do with it, but had everything to do with it. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to, so I will. But it was a contradiction for me, and I was really hesitant because I know how magic works. And this video now is my most popular, and it has on the analytics, the statistics are ridiculous. It's the most watched, most viewed in the shortest period of time. And that told me one thing: people's magic is focused on negativity.
Yes.
Because there's nothing positive about what happened. Nothing. Yep. Because all the positivity it melted away.
It shows you a huge thing too. It's that these conscious woke types are no different than the fucking people who watch the news. And I'm not trying to be negative right now to anyone who's watching this who was excited for Logan's Astroworld Decode. I'm just trying to say that when you're so quick to make fun of somebody who wears a mask or gets the jab or does this, that, or the third, you got to remember that your dopamine is triggered the same way that person who wears a mask and all that shit does too. You're more alike them than you are different. So just remember I said that. Everything is a reflection of how you feel. So when you have something negative to feel, or you need something negative to feel better about yourself, this is a sign. And it comes back to what you said before about paying attention to what you pay attention to. This is why I consciously do not talk about any financial events that happen in the market as they're happening. Kind of like what you were experiencing with this Astroworld thing. People love for me to talk about whatever's going on, but I don't get lost in that stuff because I have a big picture concept. I know my blueprint, and everything between point A and point B is a distraction to me.
Yeah.
And this is where we become very powerful. It comes back to this idea that you were saying that we're magicians, we have power. I've learned in my own reality that the number one most important currency to me is love. The second one is attention. And I make my gasoline very hard to get siphoned. You would have to strap me down, fucking handcuff my ass to take my gasoline. I make it expensive for people, for everything that goes on. And what I mean by that is I am always using my attention towards my purpose. If it doesn't serve my purpose, I'm not going to let it have my attention.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said, my friend. I hope people are taking notes, because that's, what's your gasoline, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this transmission? What kind of gasoline do you, what kind of gasoline are you powered up with? Are you just typical 87 octane, or would you be the 91 or 93 octane? Are you the high jet fuel octane? And
I'm using cesium, man.
Yeah, cesium, baby. Yeah. Time travel. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, let's talk about the date today. Very special one, right? Very special day
11/11.
today. 11/11. What does
Did you
that
did you
mean?
get to see that merch that I just released?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah, you have to check that out
I
soon.
will. I will.
Not important right now, but it's pretty lit.
Well, just tell the viewers, what is it, real quick?
Oh well,
Listeners, I should say.
I have released a new design for my merch. It's the same front logo that I've been using for my merch, which I call the first eye. And it's because I look at the pineal gland as the first eye, not the third eye.
Yep.
And this logo, essentially the outside of the eye that makes the shape of an eye, is the moon cycles, and or the cycle of the moon, the lunar phase. And within the eye, the pupil or the iris, whatever you want to call it, is the torus, the torus field. And at the bottom of it is a pill. And in this newest merch, it's all blacked out. So it's all black. Everything about it is kind of like this matte black color, which of course comes back to Saturn. And it's a black pill. But anywho, this idea of the merch is that as we transitioned into Shemitah, the 2022 year, or the 5,782 year in the Hebrew calendar, we're in this transition year of darkness. And the merch idea is the merch is dark, but the person who's wearing it is the light. So you are the light emerging from the darkness. And on the back of it is a wolf, because that's kind of what I've been calling the community that I run, the Waters Above Wolves. And the wolf is wearing a headdress, like a chief. And so it's Chief Wolf on the back, and on the front we have the first eye, and all the merch is blacked out for this purpose of the light emerging from the dark.
Nice. And that's magic right there, ladies and gentlemen. That story that Jordan just illustrated for you is magic. And when you wear your clothing, you're expressing magic. You know, if people were just to go into their closets and look at their wardrobe and just be conscious of, okay, I'm going to, like, what kind of a magician am I? I mean, I can go and look at people's wardrobe, tell you what kind of magician you are. I can go look at your playlist, in your Spotify's, and go look at your past YouTube video histories. I can tell you exactly what kind of magic you're contributing to. You can go on someone's social media page and you can tell what kind of magician they are. It's really easy to do once you have the eyes to see it. And, today being an 11/11 day, it's definitely highly attributed to people being conscious. And this is a prime example of magic and being conscious of it. Is there's a lot of people that are listening that know today's 11/11. And of course, those of you that are listening, that is not the 11/11 date, because you listen to the recording of this, what you're essentially doing is you're still giving energy to the 11/11 because you're listening to it. So, past, present, and future is all connected. So even when an event happens, such as 9/11, do you think it still gets energy? Of course it does. It still gets it. Even though it's gone in the past, it's still getting the energy because people are still talking about it. And as I mentioned, as a decoder, so many times that essentially I feel that all of us decoding are literally part of the great implosion of this world that we're moving out of and moving into a new one, because the walls must be torn down, the empire must fall. And I feel that all of us that are decoding and connecting and bridging are essentially bringing all the pieces together. And when they come together at one point in time, it's going to cause an implosion. And really, that's a big contribution of what magic's all about. I feel anyway. What do you think about that, Jordan?
Well, I think one of the things that you said that stuck out to me was this kind of the energy that we give a day. And it's weird because, well, maybe this isn't weird. Maybe it's just part of my code and where I stand consciously. But probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I stopped celebrating my birthday and celebrating like New Year's and just anything. Like, I don't care about, I think time's an illusion. And it's funny because my entire channel and all the work that I share with the world is about time and timing the market and being able to use gematria, numerology, and astrology to be ahead of what's going on based in time. But when I stopped, this is the point of what I'm trying to say. When I stopped celebrating my birthday, about a year or so later, I stopped remembering my age. And when I stopped remembering my age and people would ask me my age, I would just give them some arbitrary, like, I'm 400 years old, just something to make them like look at me like I had 3 heads. And then they would say, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you, 30 or something? And I would just be like, I don't know. And I would literally just, I've essentially spellcasted myself into not having age, because I believe age in and of itself limits you. And I don't want to be limited, especially by another human being. So I've started taking away some of these things from my mindset. The same thing with my worth. Like, some people have this net worth idea, like, what are you worth? What's your soul worth? Whatever it is. Would you do this for $1 million? That conversation could come up very easily. And yeah, so I think the disregarding age and disregarding holidays has allocated a lot of my energy to be serving purpose again, my purpose. And while everyone's out there, getting all excited about Halloween or whatever day, I know the truth of all these holidays and what they're designed to be. They're ritual sacrifice days, if anything, the popular holidays at least. And of course that came through study, but it also came through just opening up my eyes and seeing what it is. Having a bunch of children dress up in costumes and go collect candy.
Yeah.
That's fucking disgusting. Like, if you think about what it's all designed to do, it's a big pedophilia holiday. So I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, man, and where this gets even deeper, there's conscious people that are like, oh, well, it's good for the kids. And it's like, what are you talking about? How is that good for, the truth, what this holiday is designed to do, and you think your kid only knows what you program into it. That's called indoctrination. You're indoctrinating your kids against your truth. I think that's the worst thing a parent or a master could ever do. That's a cult. That's a cult leader. You're not a parent anymore when you do that.
Yeah.
If you really love somebody, you tell them the truth, especially if you know it. And it bothers me a lot when I see that behavior in people. And I know a lot of people are going to be very angry at what I just said, but I don't care.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is our magic we're creating. And, if that offends you or you get angry about it, well, that's on you. But, you got to make the truth your own, ladies and gentlemen. And, Jordan has his, I have mine. We've coming together today to present to you what our viewpoints are. And, you don't have to agree with everything that we say and the magical spells that we're speaking, but the majority of people don't dive into the etymology of words. They don't understand the phonetics of words. They don't realize that numbers rule over our reality along with symbols and all the other kinds of things. They just kind of are more interested in the things created than the power to create and being a conscious little good magician. So yeah, Jordan, I totally agree with you. I was raised a JW, and so I never, the benefit of that, of course, was I just got indoctrinated not to celebrate any of the holidays. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, from the time I was raised in it, and I got out when I was 16, and I went on it. I made up for lost time. I became a really big rebel to make up for all that lost time. I mean, I lived a childhood that was very strict, and no birthdays, no holidays, nothing. And so for me, it's always been very bizarre to partake in any holiday. I have
really,
oh, totally.
Really quickly, while this is on my mind, when I was like in school, there was this one kid that was on my bus, and he said that he was a Jehovah's Witness, and people didn't know what that meant because he was like 1 in a million where I was from. And he said, well, like, he started with the main points, and it was just like, I don't celebrate my birthday or whatever. And everyone started making fun of him. And I was just thinking to myself, like, the way that I've been my whole life is when someone hates something or makes fun of something or thinks something is wrong, I always got like attracted to that. I always thought, like, when everyone thinks something was popular, I would think that that was bad. So I used to see kids smoking and drinking and like doing all this dumb shit, and I was just like, nah, that's not my vibe.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I always thought that Jehovah's Witness kid was like a badass for some weird reason, because he didn't celebrate his birthday. And it took me probably like over a decade to get to where I was naturally kind of not celebrating my birthday. Had nothing to do with that guy, but it was just really interesting how everyone was like hating on that kid.
Right.
And of course he was like really like, it was fucked up, like bullying him because of something that he didn't even choose to do. Like, he was a kid, his parents put him into that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that was the same case for you.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? I mean, I remember having these moments of, pledging allegiance to the flag, which is what we would do in school. And guess what I had to do? My ass would be in the chair and I wouldn't stand up, and everybody be looking at me.
Dude, me too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was my homeroom teacher was a Freemason. And he wore the ring, he wore one of the rings. And I already knew about Freemasons when I was like super young. And but anyways, this guy got so mad at me for not standing for the flag. And then what happened was he like called me out after the Pledge of Allegiance one day and was like, hey, can you tell the whole classroom why you're not standing? He literally put me on the spot, and I stood up and I was just like, bro, like, this country goes overseas and kills a bunch of people for no reason. And he was like, what the fuck did you just say? And I was just like, what did I lie?
Yeah.
And then after that day, like 5 other kids stopped standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nice. So you were, influence.
But I just wasn't about that. I wasn't about pledging allegiance to a fucking country of murderers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what we are. That's what America is on the world stage. We just go around
killing people,
invading nations.
And yep. Totally agree with you, man. So when you have the eyes to see, you get into this whole magical experience of life, and and we go right back to, are you being influenced or are you an influencer? Forget about, are you being deceived? Are you being influenced? And guess what the answer is on that, everybody listening to this? Of course you are. You may be a content creator like Jordan and I are, and you're an influencer, but you're also being influenced. Because Jordan, you're a musician. Who are your influences from a musical standpoint? Right. So we're all being influenced, and we're all under kind of that magical spell and hypnotization of things in this world and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're really, individuals having this magical experience and being influenced and influencing. And yeah, bro, it was people. I don't think people are really kind of taking into consideration what they're giving their magic to, and just, being more influenced, I think, than influencing. And that we could obviously go off and onto that topic, how magic influences and is an influencer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in and of itself, it took me some time to catch up to that. And one of the things you said before we got going, and we don't have to dive too deep into it, but it was just talking about like comments and like negativity sent our way. And I've said this here before, but like, I love it. I love all the negatives, like all the hate. It's just, I fell so much in love with it. Yeah. And it took me some time to fall in love with it, because as a musician, which I am, and that's my number one passion, that's what I have been doing my whole life. There's nothing like playing in a band and having the fans like singing the words to your songs, or, because that's magic. Like, I'm giving you energy, you're giving me back energy, and it's like sex. And that whole experience is something that we could do, and even as content creators, like, I'm giving content, you're giving me back reaction. And if you want to hate me, that means you actually love me. Yeah. Like, because that's always what it is. We're always scared of the things that we're secretly obsessed with. That's why, like, when we're becoming sexual beings in the world stage, and we always pick on the girl we like the most.
Totally true.
Because that's how you're programmed. You're programmed to push her buttons.
Yeah.
And she's programmed to know that.
Yeah.
You don't like walk up to her and you're like really kind, and it's always just that energy of like the opposite, because the opposite thing, it kind of reminds me when I was learning more about nutrition. If you want to make your body internally more alkaline, well, you need to consume something that's acidic, like for instance orange juice. Orange juice, of course, like on the pH scale, it's going to show you a more acid, but when it goes into your body, it's going to alkalize your kidneys. So it's just a weird thing how it works that way. But I don't know, a little bit off topic.
Oh, hey man, I guess going in, it's all magic anyway. So no matter what, this topic being magic and on the aspects of practicing magic, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, everything that we've been talking about during this transmission so far is under the umbrella of magic. It has to be, because words are magic.
I mean, just think about this. You're in Mexico. I'm somewhere in the northeast of the States, and we're talking with each other right now. That's fucking magic.
Magic. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, if you think about how crazy it is for me to be able to make a video and then have everyone around the world be able to watch it at the same time. Yeah. Or be on a live stream, and we could have somebody from Ethiopia, somebody from the Netherlands, somebody from 2 miles away from where I am, all enjoying this hangout at the same time. That's just anything like that. It starts to make you like kind of like goosebumps, like, wow, this is pretty incredible if you think about it.
It is incredible. Totally. So my name is Logan. I'm here talking with Jordan, Waters Above Crypto. Thank each and every one of you for joining us, and all subscribers and Patreons. And you want to give a shout out to anybody? I want to give a shout out to you, Jordan, of course. I want to give a shout out to the Syncretism Society and Danny and Santos and Anne Marie and all the ones that are part of that. A big shout out to Nigel and Harry from the Devil's Playground, and all the people that I feel are really doing great magical things on the world stage. How about you, man? You want to give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, shout out to your community. I really appreciate all the people that have showed up from your community and ventured into mine. And I know our work is very different in a lot of ways, but it definitely is compatible for both purposes. And that's beautiful that there's a lot of utility in both what you and I are doing and overlap at the same time. And a shout out to my community, Waters Above Wolves, and also my mom for bringing me into this ridiculous matrix.
Loony bin.
Yeah, she brought me to the insane asylum.
The insane asylum. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, man, I of course, I don't want to forget all my community. Big shout out to all you great decoders, whether you're part of my community, Jordan's, just anybody listening to this, even those of you that would be labeled a hater, someone who just doesn't like us, but you're here because, you're interested in the content that we're providing. Even a big shout out. And I just will say much love to you, because you probably need it the most. And I don't mean that really derogatory. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. The people that poke fun, leave negative comments, talk smack on other channels about myself or Jordan or anybody else that, is a content creator. I don't think people realize, Jordan, what goes into being a content creator. And we've had this discussion many times. And it's all about magic, because content creation is magic. But I don't think really the people that are consumers, because we should do a topic on that, being a creator versus a consumer. Yeah, that'd be a pretty dope conversation. Topic. Yeah, topic. God, my brain. But I don't think people realize what magic goes into being a content creator, and then, the consumers, really what goes on there, the contrast between the two, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was saying that to you a little bit. First of all, everyone who hasn't watched Logan's Astroworld Decode, please know that the level that Logan is working at and the amount of content that he has in his pipeline to be able to fit in a recent event like that and still make a 1 hour long decode, to be able to do that was so impressive to me. Like, as somebody who's a decoder who decodes all the time, I was just like, wow. That was the first thing I thought about before I even clicked play and watched it, was how the hell did you fit this into your schedule? Because it was a recent event. And I know your stuff is very, very deep, and it utilizes so many forms of esoteric knowledge that just barely people have scratched the surface of. So to be able to compile it all into one comprehensive and effective protocol strategy is just so goddamn mind-blowing to me. But then to take a recent event and quickly get that out there to your people, it's just so mind-blowing. And if people really knew the amount of energy and skill that took, I think they would respect it so much more. And somebody, again, coming back to the music thing, when I watch musicians doing their thing, I'm experiencing it from a whole different lens than somebody who just listens to music. As a musician myself, watching another musician, I get what's going on here. And the people who have the most nasty things to say are typically people who do not even know how to play an instrument.
Yeah.
So it's like the Yelp reviews. The people who write the people who leave reviews are typically the shittiest people in our world, because they're consumers. They don't know how to do anything. So they're the most entitled to have an opinion. But if you knew the amount of effort that it took to cook a beautiful meal, or to make an amazing coffee, or brew whatever it is that you specialize in, or whatever it is that you consume, I think one thing that could really help a lot of people out in this world is create art before you speak about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Become a decoder before you start criticizing the decoding world.
Exactly.
Because people just they're obviously, when you look at how magic works on the world stage, it's set up to where there are more consumers than creators. That's just the way it is. And the consumers, and it's okay to be a consumer, right? I mean, it's a contradiction, because we're all consumers. I mean, if you go to the bathroom and wipe your butt, you're consuming toilet paper. And so you're kind of being part of the destruction of the trees that go into making toilet paper. So we're all parasites. It's just a big joke.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
cosmic comedy.
It is, man. God's a comedian. I mean, that's just the only way that I can put it in the most simplistic format, is that God, whatever created this reality, has, a real sick sense of humor, but it's super funny. Really, really funny. And I believe that, I believe mankind's being used to live out their code, and you're here for a very specific reason. Those of you that are here right now listening to this transmission, whether you hide behind an avatar because you don't want people to know who you are, or you don't comment or like because you just want to stay off the grid, or doesn't really matter, you're here and you're listening, and we value that, right? Because even if you're a hater, even if you're someone who is just the negative person that just leaves these gnarly comments, like Jordan, you said, I'll take the energy, because you haters out there, if that's what you are, what you fail to realize is that your magical energy that you're giving, just the attention, because attention is magic, the hater energy that you're giving to this transmission right now feeds us. It feeds me and Jordan. So essentially, you're the one who's giving us the energy, and I'll just transmute it. I had a kind of an off day yesterday, Jordan. I was talking to Nigel, and I was just like, I was looking at how much negativity there was with some of the comments that I put out, that were put out there on the Astroworld Decoded. And thank you for your love, brother, for the shout out on that. And then just seeing the social media stuff, and it just I guess it just kind of got to me. That's part of being the human experience, right?
Yeah.
But then I just, I went back to today. I'm just like, I just transmute it. I'll just transmute it. That's exactly what, essentially, that's what, and I'm not even, people think I'm a Mason. It's just funny. People just assume that I'm a Freemason. And
why?
They'll do, Jordan. They'll be like, yeah, well, Logan, what about that brick wall behind you? There's the sign. You're a Mason, secretly a Mason, because you got a brick wall behind you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Is Pink Floyd, because they came out with an album, Another Brick in the Wall, are they all Masons? And you know what people are saying? Yep, they're Masons. it's just unbelievable how many people just assume things and they don't do their due diligence. And, you know, they may, not saying they're wrong, of course, but it's like you're directing all this energy on something, on an absolute assumption. And again, I'm not a Mason, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a free Logan. If anything, I joke around and I say that I'm a free Logan. Jordan, you're a free Jordan, you know? And I just joke around with that kind of stuff. But I'm a magician, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. And I would say, and I came out with a meme on this, I would say it's the only honest profession, magicians, because they're going to tell you that they're going to fool you, and they do. Right? So it's like they're really the only honest profession.
I like
but
that.
In essence, it's a contradiction, because I'm honest. Honestly, that was a joke, folks, but really it's true. And, but I am a magician, and you're a magician, and Jordan's a magician. If you're an influencer, if you're a content creator, and if you're a consumer, you're still a magician creating magic. If you're talking about that event that happened on November 5th, you're a magician, because you're speaking about it. And that energy has to go somewhere. That's how the metaphysical world works, by the way. That's how magic at the foundational layer of magic works. It works on influencing and moving energy. That's it. And the energy goes somewhere. Who's getting the energy? Right? Jordan, you do this phenomenal job. And a big shout out to your community, Waters Above Crypto, and the wolves, as you like to call it, feed the wolf. But what you do is you have a niche that is unlike anything else, and you're being rewarded for it because of having such a powerful influence over that niche that no one's really tapped into. And of course, I just looking at your code, look at your chart, because we did a reading for you, right? And you know how powerful you are. And guess what you do? You own that space of being that powerful being. You wake up every day and you own that space. Ladies and gentlemen, are you being that way? Do you wake up and own the space of being a powerful being? Or do you just let the static on the world stage suck you dry? Are you giving to the static? You know, if everybody were just to stop and be in the moment of the now moment, what are you giving your energy to? What are you giving your magic to? What's the majority of the energy going from you? Where is it going? That's your magical contributions. That's you taking your little Harry Potter wand and your little Hollywood. That's your own little movie, and that's the energy you're giving. And I love what Bob Proctor says. He says that most people are not even the stars in their own movie. They're just little extras. Maybe they may do a little walk on, you know, a little cameo, and that's it, man. That's it.
That's so fucking raw.
Yeah, it is, but it's true.
Wow.
So I'll just encourage all of you out there listening, not to be an ass, but are you an extra in your own movie?
Yo, that is fucking so wise.
From Bob Proctor, man. One of my mentors.
So wise. Like, go walk over. If you're listening to this right now, like, go over to your mirror and look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself that question. Like, I hope tears are streaming down your eyes.
Yeah.
That's how fucking serious that is.
Serious.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be thinking about that shit every fucking minute of your life now. You're just going to be like, it's going to be like branded into your subconscious. Like, what am I?
That's right.
I tapped into what I am and I play that role, and I don't let any human being look at me and tell me otherwise. Like, I don't have any energy for anyone who says that I cannot do something. And, yeah, I do it all the time. Like, where I just test people. Like, somebody asks me, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm changing the world. And they're like, what did you just say? And I'm like, was I not clear the first time?
It's because it's not a typical thing that people hear.
Yeah. And I love the energy it creates in them. Because it just puts them on this, like, what, bro?
Yeah.
And same thing goes with, like, you know, for me, 2 + 2 equals 100. You want to tell me it equals 4? Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's whatever I want it to be right now at this moment. Yeah. And if I could tap into that energy as much as possible, then you're not getting my gasoline. And that's why I think scientism has played such a good parasitic role amongst all peoples intellectually, because it's so finite, it's so structured, and and part of my code is the 33, like you've explained to me, and that's all about transmutation. That's all about going from that solid state to a liquid state, and that's what I want. But I'm at that vibe right now where I'm transcending past liquid, and I'm like a being of light. Yeah. That's where I see myself as every moment of every day.
Yeah, when you look at that whole, I have it included in an upcoming decode. I just can't remember where it was, but I was looking at the black sun versus the white sun, and then putting it in front of a graphic and looking at the two, and then which one would you be? Would you be the white dot? I mean, if you imagine just a pitch black screen, and then in the very dead center, there's a white round circle, a sphere. That's you as a light worker, if people like to use that. I'm a light worker, right? That's you working in the dark, and you're the light. But then if you go in the light, and you have a white screen now, and I put that same white circle, you won't see it. So the only way you would see it is if you actually make it black.
Yep.
Now you have a black circle on a white screen. Now what are you? You're a black sun working in the light.
Yeah, it absorbs the light, right?
It absorbs the light, and that's what our eyes do. Because if you go look in the mirror, all of you listening to this, go look in the mirror. You're going to have two black circles. They're called pupils. The definition of a pupil is a student giving feedback to the Ponzi scheme of this reality. But the black sun, that's why I comically and jokingly say that we're all little devils, because the black sun, which is your pupils, those absorb the light that come from the light of the world. And you'll transmute that energy into what we call, I see. I saw that. I see this. And really, I think a lot of magic is in that word I. And I know that people really don't, even myself, because you're constantly speaking spells. But what happens when you say I? And what is the phonetic of I? Is it the letter I, the 9th letter, which is a repeater number, by the way? Or is it EYE? Is it that word? Because you could spell it both ways. And then we get into spelling again. But I is an 11 in the Chaldean. But the letter I is a 9, or the number 1 if you go into the Chaldean. Right? But what does it mean to say I? And when you say I think, I don't like, I like, I saw that, I don't like this person. There's this powerful I, and the magic that you create behind I think that this happened, and I want to do this, and I got to do this, and I have to do that. And it's just all about the I. And then you're like, okay, well, if you really kind of go into that realm, what does I mean? What does it really mean to you, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this? What does it mean to you, Jordan? What does I mean? If you really think about that, magic wise, what do you think?
Yeah. One of the things that I thought about was through studying more into the symbology of the Freemasons and how the pillars, Boaz and Yakin, are showing you like this ball on top of the pillar.
Yep. And
that is of course, that's the eye. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's so much to be said. There's so much to be said with that. There's somebody that I do look up to, that I speak to infrequently. And one of the things that he kept catching in me was whenever I said I want or I do not want. And ever since he brought that to my attention, I've kind of changed the way that I've been speaking, because again, like if you want something, that means that you don't have it, and you're basically saying a very lack-based spell. It's a spell based in lack, not in abundance. And I don't want, like, it's like, I'm not taking that vaccine. I don't want to do this. Even if I had this energy that I was powerful, by being, let's just say, stubborn to the narrative, it was actually like not empowering when I was looking at it from that perspective of the spell, the way that I was casting my spells. So we are I, like we that, yeah, I suppose it's kind of interesting in that regard. Like any symbology too that has to deal with the eye, like the Eye of Ra.
Yeah.
That's really like mind-blowing stuff. There's so much to say. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But one thing I do want to mention though is the word abracadabra.
Yep.
That's really like an interesting one. I spent a little bit of time studying that. And have you seen that chart of how like abracadabra can be like, it forms this like pyramid when you type out the whole word, and then it starts wrapping around itself?
Yep. It just takes the word and breaks it down into the like the A and the AB and the ABR and the ABRA and the ABRC.
Yeah.
It just makes that's layers. Yeah.
That's wild. But in Gematria, spell casting is in the English ordinal cipher is 137, the 33rd prime.
Yeah, 33rd prime. Yeah.
And that was the time that I was born.
That was the time you were born. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, that's just, like I appreciate you more just when I decoded you and did your reading for you, because I already appreciated you enough, but when I was able to see your instruction manual, it really allowed me to tap into really how powerful of a human being you are. And I was like, I look up to you in a lot of ways because of the words you choose, the way you speak, how calm you are, and just your mission. And one of the great things now that I use, which is from you, is love is allowing. And I think that a lot of people are jumping on that from a conscious level, not just saying it because it's like, oh, everything happens for a reason, but what does that really mean? I'm not saying jump on that love is allowing because you like it, like how it sounds. Do you really like it for what it means? And do you practice it? That was one of the things I really respect about you, Jordan, is that, I believe you practice really consciously what you say. And it's really inspiring, that the magic that you do. So
it set me free of like a lot of problems and a lot of things that I was experiencing in my life. Like just being able to be more in line with what was I saying, and did it have purpose, or was I just blah 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 blah? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like actually one of the funniest things is and I'll quickly move from this, but there's a lot of people who, when they're negative in my comment section in my videos, they'll say like blah 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 space, and then like kind of like as if what I'm saying isn't getting to the point.
Yeah. And
that shit is amazing to me. That's my favorite person. Like the person who's me out of all people, Logan. The amount of intent and power that I put behind my words to have I get it. It just makes me laugh. I'm like, I'm so happy thinking about it.
That's awesome.
The difference between us and them.
Yeah, it's nice to get giddy on these kind of what would be the Debbie Downer kind of topics, if you will. I'm tapping into it. Like it's my new favorite energy because these people don't even know what 2022 is going to be like. Like, all that hate comes back around. Like Saturn comes back around, in the words of Maynard James Keenan. Yep.
And you want to be like that to other people or animals or the Mother Nature? Okay, we'll see how long that lasts for you, buddy.
Yeah. I love it. I think that I have the decoding of Tool coming up soon. I know you're going to be looking forward to that.
Yes, one of my favorite bands.
But Maynard's birthday is tied to the sun. He's born April 17th, 417. 417, 714, 147. It's all tied to the sun. Yeah. Yep.
Did speaking about breaking down words and the theater of our reality, spell casting, that second part, casting, like when you're casting for a movie.
Yep.
That's just like right there. It's just showing you like the cosmic comedy.
Yep. And
like who are you casting, right? You got to wake up every day and ask yourself, like, who are the player characters? Who are your disciples that you chose? If you can't answer that question, then perhaps you have a little work to do. And when you're like, who is in your cast? Who are your main characters? Now that maybe you're enlightened and you're the one holding the controller in this video game, who are your I've asked myself that, and it was really like mind-blowing to me to have to deal with that, to confront myself and go, I never thought about that shit before.
Yeah.
And you want to know something really crazy, Logan?
Yeah.
So you said that his birthday was April 17th, Maynard?
Yes.
Okay, April 17th is 3 months and 16 days into the year, and my birthday is March 16th.
Ah, dude, there you go. That's
How
a sick
fucking
connection.
insane is that?
That's insane connection right there. Nice gem find right there, brother. Nice gem find. Yeah. And again, yeah, and I think people listening out there, what are your favorite bands? Who are your influencers? And then what are their birthdays?
Yeah, Logan, it gets worse.
Give us the goods, Jordan. What'd you find?
His birthday and my birthday are 1 month and 1 day apart, which also is 4 weeks and 4 days apart. Like, I'm over it, dude.
You want me to give you a big gem bomb right now for you on the cards?
Yeah, I would love to. I love all this stuff, man.
Okay, so those of you that are followers and fans of the numbers and the cards and all that kind of stuff, I just want to before I drop this for Jordan, I just want to let all of you know, the number 47 is tied to the word tetragrammaton, tied to titanium and Titan and Saturn's moon Titan. And then the mirror of that is 74, which is tied to the words Jesus and Lucifer and the element wolfram, aka tungsten, which is tied to the sun because tungsten was used to make the filament in light bulbs. And so we have the 74 and the 47. Well, guess what card of illumination is tied to Maynard's birthday? The 4 diamonds card. And what's your card, Jordan?
I think it's the 7, right? 7
diamonds. And if you take the 7 diamonds and you bring the 4 diamonds together, what number do you get?
I don't know what is
47 and 74.
Oh shit.
Diamonds and 7 diamonds. 4 diamonds is Maynard's birthday, and yours is 7 diamonds. 47 and 74. Yeah.
And also in Gematria, spell casting full reduction is 47, and of course in English ordinal, energy is 74.
Yeah.
And that's a huge word, right? Energy is it's a massive word.
Massive.
And so overlooked. But anyways, wow, man, that's crazy. That tie between my code and the band Tool.
And it's your favorite band. So, is that a coincidence? And that's why I encourage all of you, ladies and gentlemen, that are listening to this transmission, it's part of decoding who you are and why you're here. Like, why are you listening to the specific music you're listening to? And then what is your favorite band? Do you have one? Who you naturally link towards when it comes to singers and guitarists and bands and all that stuff, and then what are their birthdays? And then you'll start to quickly realize that what I just showed you as an example, what Jordan showed you, the timestamps, you're going to have some of those. And then you'll quickly realize that, that's your code. That is your instruction manual. And as I said, it's like, everybody out there primarily probably has a car or has had a car and owned a car. And the operating manual for the car is in the glove box. It's in the box, the cube, the square. Why do we call it a glove box? Because we're living in the square, the cube. And that contains the operations of how the car runs and works. Well, what's your owner's manual? Well, we just got done telling you what part of Jordan's owner's manual is. What's yours? That's your magic. That's your mojo. That's how you operate on the world stage. And you got to pay attention to your owner's manual, and then what kind of magic you're putting out on the world stage, because it's going to be important, because it is all about spell casting, and speaking your magic spell. I mean, abracadabra. How about this? Abracadabra is the number 20 in Chaldean. Casting is 20. Spell casting is 20. And then the word free is 20, and the word mason is 20. See, we're all masons. It's just kind of a big joke because, Like, you don't have to be a Mason and be a member of a lodge to be a Mason, because what is the very definition of Mason? It means it's a builder.
Yeah.
You build things. And even if you're not a content creator and you're just a consumer, you're still building things, because when you go talk to your neighbor and you like, oh, do you see what they're doing? They're going to do it. You're building something, which is kind of really a bunch of crap. The majority of the consumers out there just build a bunch of junk. But, you know, when you're conscious of it, you can flip that and you can build a castle. Majority of people not building castles. No, they're building someone else's castle. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the 33rd degree is a fucking compliment.
Yep.
So like people are so quick like with this 33 number, and it's like, you guys got to calm down, man. Like no number is evil. How could a number be? A number has no emotion tied to it. We give it that value.
That's right.
Like, the number 1 and the number 33 are the same value, actually.
Yep. Well, essentially, you know, everything goes back to a single digit from a numerology standpoint. If you're a numerologist, any of you out there that are numerologists, you know, you have a good example is you have what's called your life path, which in numerology is your soul contract. And that is found by adding up your entire birthday. So Jordan, you're born on the 16th. So you would just do 3 + 1 + 6, and then your year. And you break all those digits down individually. And so all those digits essentially feed a single digit. And that single digit is the very makeup of this reality that we all play out, that we've given our energy to. But then you also have, through magic, the binary system, which is in the quantum world. And there are no ones, and there are no 2s and 3s. It's just 0s and 1s. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Strikes and circles.
Yep. And if those of you that are decoders, you should start studying the binary system, because it's fascinating. You can take your birthday, type it into the calculator, and figure out what your binary result is and who you are in the binary world. It's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, it's incredibly.
It's really, it's a layer that, you know, is advanced, but again, it's stuff that people don't take into consideration, because they're the majority of decoders out there that I see, and this is not any disrespect to any of them, and you got to start somewhere, but they're really on the surface. You know, once you get past the surface stuff, once you get out of the blame game, which a lot of people are in the blame game, you get deep below the surface and you realize that there's a whole nother world that's playing out its role. Just like I don't know if you ever studied this, Jordan, but have you ever looked into the microbiology world? It's unbelievably fascinating.
No, not too much.
Oh man. There's a big shout out to there's a YouTube channel called Journey to the Microcosm. And they do a great job. They get a lot of Patreons and a lot of just the narration, the microscopic work. And they put things under a microscope and they show you these single-celled organisms and the kingdom down there. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And there's that whole world playing out beyond what we see. And then there's predators and prey down there. I wonder if they're talking about numbers and magic down there in the microcosm world. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, even nature itself, like there's no like integers. It's not just a tree, like 4 trees. It's like it's infinite. Like we can't count the ripples in the wave. It just is. We call it waves.
Yep.
So I've thought about this with myself. It's like, why the fuck would I have an age? I'm just infinite, bro.
That's it.
Like humans, light.
Yep.
You don't say there's 30 light beams, just a beam of light.
Yep.
I started plugging in quantum like into the gematria calculator, and it's just really messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna stop myself.
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I mean, the number one was like quantum computer gives the 66 in Chaldean, and my full name gives the 66 in Chaldean. And my work is pretty wild, right? Because I'm trying to expose the algorithm of the market. Like, it was an algorithm that I believe was preset probably 100, maybe thousands of years ago. And it just made its way into the current algorithm that we use. And that's why I've been able to foresee movements in the price action of these cryptocurrencies before it comes to reality, because yeah, it's just a big algorithm. It's actually not that impressive what I do if you look at it from that perspective. But now that quantum computer has the 66 in the same cipher as my name, it's like, well, I actually made a joke about this yesterday, because I was talking in my last video about how I was expecting a little bit of a move downwards for cryptos over the basically over the last 2 days, and it came to reality. And I just said that, like, maybe I'm tapped into the algorithm, I don't know. But now that I'm looking at it in the code, I'm like, fuck. That is scary. When you start decoding yourself further and some of these words, it's really scary.
Yeah. I mean, you're tapping. I mean, essentially, it goes right back to the topic.
The word scary is 66 in English ordinal.
Yeah. It's
like the words that are coming out of your mouth. You could just decode them as they're coming out of your mouth, and it's like they're showing up in the code perfectly. It's like it's so bad.
Yeah, and a perfect example was under the Astroworld Decoder that I did. The ages of the 8 people that passed in the tabloids, and I will put a disclaimer: I cannot prove that that's true, but that's what the story was. But the total ages was 165, of all 8 people. And then when Travis Scott came out with his first apologies the next day on Twitter, the very first statement that he put out, the very first sentence from start to finish, was a direct match in numerology. It was 165. Did you catch that on that? Did you see that under the Astroworld Decoded?
Yeah, man. All that stuff, it's just like, it's mind blowing. And again, it's like, people need to respect this work, man. That's such a gem.
Well, I mean, how do you, I mean, as I was narrating in this, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so we have 2 scenarios. Either, and a lot of people say, well, he's not writing it. Okay, so you think that someone's sitting down, and that's just the Chaldean now, right? You have all these other ciphers you can go and I could find. You think that these people are really sitting down consciously in front of a decoding computer, in front of a computer, and they're typing out the message to make sure that they code it to match the ages of the 8 people they're going to put out in the news tabloids? Do you really think that's what's going on? And that right there, if you just take away the entire decode that I did about even the astrology and all the other layers, just that one right there to match up with the 165, which is a number anagram of the 156, which is tied to the 911, because 911 is the 156 prime number. But do you really think that magic that was put on the world stage was consciously done by people? And I just, it really, you gotta, it's up to you as the observer. But from a researcher, I can confidently say, abso-freaking-lutely not. They're not doing it like that. No way. Not that layer, not that deep. Nope. That was just one sentence. There was more, but just wanted to pump that video. Anyway, I don't mean to get off topic.
Well, no, I feel you. It's like also like the magic of what was planned out. That's something that can manifest itself into all the other outcomes therein.
Yeah.
So what was planned out about that event, that's what could create what happens once the event kicks off. And that in and of itself could trigger the code. I mean, that's something to consider, right?
Yeah, it totally is. I think
I know this Travis Scott guy is fucking high level. I know he is, right? But like what you just said, like there's absolutely no way with that precision that layer would be capable by a human imagination.
Yep.
It's fucking impossible.
Well, I mean, you would never get anything done. to go word by word, letter by letter, just for a tweet the next day. Then what? Now what's on my plate? You would never get anything done in life if you're trying to be that meticulous. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, if I open up my email for the day and there's 700 emails, what does that guy open up his email to?
They got other people doing it for them, which tells you how busy they are.
Yeah.
They have so many other things on their plate.
And also, like, I want to say this because there might be people who follow my work and there's like these quote unquote riddlers, like people in crypto. Who
I know about them. Yep.
Bro, like, you guys need to stop with those guys. Like, learn a chart. Like, you're never, like, you're just sitting there decoding tweets all day. Like, seriously. And people respect that work. Like, these guys are not giving you riddles. They're just giving you distractions. And the more they could distract you, they're pulling their magic off on you. So it's like, people need to learn a skill, man.
Yeah.
That's like my number one thing. Like, you see what you were doing with your decode of the tweet had utility. It actually was useful. But spending your whole day, like, you know, just thinking that everything is a conspiracy, that everything that the CEO of Ripple says is gonna make the XRP price go to $1,000. It's like, come on, bro. People gotta wake up. So they put their energy into decoding in a form that has very little utility. And I always try to remind people, like, if you're gonna go out of your way to become a decoder, it needs to have purpose.
True. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like masturbation. Like, it's a useless energy.
Yeah.
Like, are you trying to make love? Or are you trying to, you know?
Yeah. Be like a dump truck. Yeah.
I'm just like, I know it's raw, but it's true.
Yeah. No, it's a good analogy. I mean, if you can just kind of have fun with it. But, you know, I mean, we're talking about magic and we're on this topic, and I just, you know, I want to give the listeners kind of, because a lot of people ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think? And I don't share a lot of my mindset because it's so deep. But I'm going to give everybody listening the most basic fundamental of magic and everything that I've discovered. And I'm not saying I'm the authoritative voice on magic, okay? But this is everything that and how and why this event, and I'm going to be very concise and very short with it, as short as I can be. But I'm just telling all of you that whatever was told to you, whatever was put out in the tabloids, like 8 people died, and then there are people coming out, oh, there was hundreds. And they're not even at the event, right? You're not even there, but you're saying that. And then people are like, well, you're not there. Did you touch these 8 people? I'm like, no, what a dumb question. That just shows your intelligence level. Like, of course I didn't touch them. But anyway, this is the layer of part of the stuff that I can honestly tell all of you that I just don't appreciate. I'm just not a fan of that kind of stuff. The energy gets transmuted, but it's just like, you know, like it's trying to teach algebra to a kid who's just learning the ABCs. You know, that's exactly how it's at. But anyway, whatever's put out on the tabloids is getting the majority of the energy. It's getting the majority of the magic, and that goes somewhere. So even if there ends up being 20 people that really officially pass from this event, if that really is the facts, what really is getting the energy right now is those 8, because that is what is being discussed. That is the magic of the tabloids. And where is that energy going? Are you taking that into consideration? So when I broke it down and I said the number 8, the number 19 is the 8th prime number, directly connected to the sun. That's why I had said over and over, this was all based on the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon. That's where the energy is going. You don't have to agree with that, but that's where the energy is going from all my research. And the magic that you're attributing to it, your magic, is speaking about this event. And every time you speak about it to somebody, you're essentially giving your magical energy to the story that is the dominant one on the world stage. So if you don't define it, like some of you say, well, there's hundreds of people that die, but that's so loose. There's no definition there. That's a very watered down opinion that and who's jumping on that opinion? The majority of people have jumped on the opinion that there were 8 people that died, right, Jordan? That's the majority of the vote. the popular vote, and that's what's getting the majority of the energy. And whoever's constructing this, which is not done by man, as I've mentioned, and I firmly stand by that, man's acting out the blueprint, but they're not constructing it. But something's getting the energy, and the energy, the majority of it is going to the numbers that were put out on the world stage. Whether or not you want to believe in them doesn't matter. That's how true magic works. Now, if you want to go out there and say, no, there was 20 people that passed. Okay, great. And you create that story. Who's going to attach their magic to yours? How much of a rip can you make in the ripple on the world stage on that content? Because if you say, oh, there's 20 people, right? If I were to go out and say, no, there's 20 people, here are the names, and then, okay, who's going to watch my video? Who's going to attach their magic to my magic? And then how powerful can it be? If I only get 100 people that actually share my story, it's not going to create a rip in the ripple. The ripple is 8. That's the ripple right now, the dominant ripple. And so the magic goes to that.
One crazy thing, because I just started typing this in as you were, doing your thing, and so there was an update, right? And the update, it says Texas A&M student hurt at Astroworld dies, death total at 9. But here's the thing, right? The time of the release of this article was 2:33 p.m. Mm-hmm. And the name of the person who died, Barti Shahani, in reverse ordinal is 2:33. Their name. Mm-hmm. And it just gets crazy. Like this code and this will keep going, guys. Like, yep. I think that's kind of what Logan's, I think that's where Logan's going with this, is that the 9th person who died is 9 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I get why you would be apprehensive to want to decode this stuff, and I think like it would leave a bad taste in your mouth moving forward with any other sort of things like this.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do any more mainstream stuff, because it's like I said, it's like I look at my analytics, and that Astroworld video, out of all the 250 videos I've got on my channel, that's number 1, and it has nothing to do about making the world a better place. Nothing. The only thing it will do is allow you to see what's the machinations behind it all. That's it. Other than that, everybody that has watched that video has fed the source of that, and that is the actual event, which is nothing positive, in the sense of being positive and negative. So yeah, there may be 10, 11, there's maybe more people coming out, but what people fail to realize is that it doesn't matter, because the story that came out has the number 8 attached to it, and that number got a shitload of magical energy to it, and that went somewhere. And if we're talking about magic, ladies and gentlemen, the true essence of magic is energy, and in the induction of it and the intention of it. And then where does that energy go? It may stop, like it goes to 9, and then, oh, the real story is it's 10. Now the magical energy goes to the number 10, and now we can decode that. Something's going to get that energy now. But essentially, if you really kind of know your stuff, you'll realize that it's a Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. This entire reality is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Like, I'm looking at, and I actually haven't looked into this event at all. And have you looked at the flyer of the show?
Yeah.
With the 2 hands and the eyes on them,
and the pyramid, and there's so much symbolism on there. Yep.
And this how like you have to get into the concert through going through his mouth.
Yeah.
It's like kind of reminding me of that like Jonah and the whale story.
Like if you're there, if you're looking at a picture of the concert and just a photograph of it, many people have with the Looney Tunes, the going into the portal, what people, I don't think people are looking at is that, you see, forget about the tragedies that happened. And some people say, oh, nobody died there. Okay, well, whatever. But it doesn't matter, because the whole simulation, the whole story, it's all about magic anyway. So whether someone really did or really didn't, that's besides the point. That's kind of a moot point. You see, everybody that was in that crowd, the majority of them were focused on the stage. And the eyes of everybody that were focused on the stage were attending their magic towards that portal. So all the energy was funneled into that portal on the stage. Where's that energy going? You see, these are things that people that are decoding, they don't take into consideration. I feel. Not now there are some people that have, but the true essence of magic, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just about who and what and why and the connection. And some people are, oh, it's, you know, the same day as Travis Scott is the Church of Satan. Just that, then you get that. Folks, it's the event and it's the portal and it's all the eyes. Like I had said, so many times I'm like, these artists that are out there that are, you know, icons on the world stage, you know, that are going out there and they're playing in front of countless crowds over and over. They're on tour. And, you know, you're up. Can you imagine being up on stage? I mean, I've never had this experience on that level. Can you imagine being up on stage and having 50,000 set of eyes staring at you? Do you know what kind of energy you're getting?
Yeah. No, I mean,
insane amount of energy. Insane. And guess where that energy gets stored up? What?
Well, yeah, I mean, within the capsule of the event, you know, whether it's the stadium or the stage itself or the being who you're transmitting that energy to. Yeah.
So the energy that the person that you're giving your attention to, it's getting all the energy. And I believe it gets stored up in the blood. And then when it's time to pay up, when that blood gets spilled, it gets released. And that's for a different story. And I know that's
I feel what you're saying.
Pretty deep. But anyway, the true essence of magic with that event was not just the event. It was what was getting that energy, what was being funneled and what was being transmuted. And as I mentioned, I feel it was, you know, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It was that soul exchange. But
did you look into this guy's real name?
Yeah, 74.
74.
Yep. Tied to the wolf. It's wolfram. Tungsten is wolfram. That's why it has the abbreviation W. And we know the wolf is tied to this reality. The matrix is the wolf. Feed the wolf. Feed the wolf.
This one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because I have to talk about it soon with my community, but in you know, I talk about the lunar cycles in my work. Yep. And how full moons are bearish or like negative price action. Yep. And then the new moons are positive energy or bullish price action. And of course, in crypto and stock market terminology, we use this bull and bear shit. But anyways, the point of where I'm going with this is that I've been talking about the expectation of a bear market starting in around the full moon of January 2022. And that full moon in January is called the wolf moon. And wolf moon in Chaldean is 47. And also, it's the date of the 17th of January, which is the 117 date. And Bitcoin in Gematria is 117.
Yeah.
So, of course, when Bitcoin does bad, everything does bad. And full moons are always bad. And the 22 number tied in all the ways that, you know, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's just that's something that I need to discuss. I actually ended up calling my community the Waters Above Wolves by mistake. It was a complete mistake from an intro that I made that was not scripted. And in the intro, I kind of just like, because it was like a good day, a good energy in the market, I ended up just saying it sporadically, and then it stuck somehow. It kind of became this thing since, but I want to talk about some time with you. One of the things you just mentioned, which like that feed the wolf thing and the matrix being the wolf, that's really interesting. I listened to this one kind of it wasn't like a TED talk, but the lady who allegedly wrote the Matrix. Do you know this woman?
Yeah, I read the story that she was ripped off by this screenplay that she wrote. Yeah,
right. And I'm not like here to debate if she really did, if that's real. Like I don't know. But her name's Sophia Stewart, and Sophia Stewart alleges that she wrote the story of the Terminator and the Matrix, and she actually, when she was on stage giving this one like conference, I guess she was being interviewed actually. And she actually broke down a lot of what was going on in like the esoteric, like she is aware. Like if me and you were to talk to her on this podcast, she'd keep up.
Okay.
She's not an idiot at all.
I could definitely see that.
So whether she is deceiving us that she, wrote it or not, that's not the conversation. She's aware, and I know she is. And the point of what I'm bringing up is she just said that the Matrix, and her idea behind the Matrix is that the Matrix is the womb.
Yep. Agreed.
And that was just like, I was like, oh man, this lady knows what's up. Like
yeah.
So either she's a useful tool to the New World Order to have this kind of like, Biden Trump thing going on.
Yeah.
Or she actually did, and she's just being blackballed or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I want to dive deeper into her, but I don't have the time.
Just her name, Sophia. I mean, that's if you know the esoteric. I mean, that's supposed to be the mother of Yaldabaoth, the great demiurge in the Gnostic traditions. So
yeah. I mean, I haven't decoded her yet, but I think it's really funny how the lawsuit is $2.5 billion over the Matrix, and everything last year in regards to finances in the year of 2020 and 2021. Ever since I really started doing my decoding journey publicly. It's all about 25s with these elites when it comes back to money. And
of course,
like Amazon equals 25 in Chaldean. Amazon's building that kind of like Tower of Babel looking thing.
Yep.
And all of that numerology was coming back to the 25. It's pretty blatant, actually. Anyways, I don't want to jump around too much.
That's a very good point, because in alchemy, if you take helium and boron and you add them together, you're going to get 15.012, and 15 is the devil card and the wolf card in the medicine deck. And then 25, the word adversary, equals 25. And then on top of that, when you look at the houses of astrology and you synchronize that, you have Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, and Taurus has got the bull horns, which is tied to the bull god. And then house number 5 is Leo, the lion, which is ruled by the sun. And if you look at your calculator on your phone or your dial pad, you'll see that the middle pillar is 0, 8, 5, and 2, or 0, 2, 5, 8. And that's the androgynous earth pillar. And that to me is, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus, 3 of the 4 fixed signs. You'd have Aquarius as the other fixed sign, which creates the X, which is the number 24, X chromosomes. And so, yeah, that's why Wall Street, if you study the stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange, it was created in the month of May. That was his birthday, tied to Taurus. That's why it has the bull. And that's why the Bible, and that's what it makes me laugh. I don't take anything away from how beautiful, Christianity is in the sense of pure Christianity, because I understand how archetypes work, but it's Taurus. It's Taurian energy. Mm-hmm. Taurus is the Bible. It's the bull, and then the Taurus fields is the makeup of our reality, which you then get into the true definition of the Trinity, which is magnetism, electricity, dielectricity. That's it. So electricity, Elohim, electric, and then the partner of that is magnetic and electric. And then we live in the dielectric world, where we get polarized by the sun and moon as the pillars. So we're on the world, everybody on the world stage, magically you're getting polarized, and you're activating the positive and negative cells inside of you, if you want to look at it that way. It's really interesting. That's
what you said was what you said like ties into the merch that I released, like that logo that I called the first eye, and the pupil or the center of it being the Taurus.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
that's the same way. That's the way I was perceiving it before I even made. I designed that intentionally in regards to what you literally just said.
That's what it is, Jordan. It's like when I did,
because what you see with your eyes, that illusion,
yeah. Yep. And I'm coming out with Superstar 3, I think, but If all of you go into the mirror right now and you look in your eye, you're going to see around the pupil, you will see the Jesus Christ crown of thorns right inside your eye. You'll see it. You can see the crown of thorns. Go look in the mirror and you'll see wrapped around that black pupil is the crown. That is the corona. That is the sun, because the sun is your boss. And the black hole is tied to Taurus, because Taurus, if you look at the symbol of Taurus, it's the circle, and that it has the horns above it, and the horns are part of the crown. So essentially, Taurus is tied to Venus. What is Venus? The planet of love. What happens when you make love? You make babies. You procreate. Synchronize that with the chakras. What's the second chakra? The sacral, which runs the ovaries, the testes. Go out there and subdue the earth and populate the earth. Yeah, the Bible says that because the game needs players. Without players, there's no game.
Right.
See you later to the game. There's no more magic. And we are all cells in the battery. And the cells that we are feeding the battery that's above us, which is the Wizard of Oz. Anyway, Jordan, I got to run, bro. I got a reading in 6 minutes, and I was looking at the time like, oh, damn. And I was just rambling. Yeah. So my ramble, I don't mean to end it on my ramble. But any lasting beautiful words from the great Jordan from What is Above Crypto? I'm completely listening right now, because I know I listen directly when you're speaking. So what do you got?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things we said that were very powerful today, and I think that it has a lot of utility. So, this might be something that people need to watch a couple times, but we'll need to listen to a couple more times to really absorb the light that we were forecasting, So there's definitely a lot of wisdom here, and don't limit yourself. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. If you are going to wake up and be a part of this reality, do it at the highest capability that you could possibly perform, and don't let anyone else get in your way. I think that's extremely important. Like we were talking about earlier, wake up and be the king in your reality, be the president of your reality. Don't have any rulers, don't have any leaders. That's all shit to keep you lower. Yeah. And if you have an opportunity to wake up every day and be something great, do it, and really do it. Own it, like you said earlier.
Yeah. Own it, man. Be the star in your own movie, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be a walk-on or an extra. That's kind of lame way to live. But you got to own that space. So
100%.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching, listening mainly, because this is going to be just an audio only. From my community, Jordan, to yours, all my subscribers, all you great decoders out there, much love and appreciation to all of you. Keep it coming. Jordan, much love to your community and all your great subscribers, and much love to you. I have a deep, profound respect and love for you, my friend. And this is the conclusion of our topic of magic. Let's talk about magic. And I know that's going to lead us into topic number 5, which is to be determined. So
yeah, man, many, many more conversations to come. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your community, and much love to all of you. And I'm excited for the next one, man. Number 5.
It'll be number 5, which is your life path. So it'll be a fun one. Busy 5, the busy 5. Yeah. So awesome. All right, my brothers and sisters out there, thank you so very much. Signing off, Logan, Decode Your Reality, Jordan, What is Above Crypto. Until next time, folks, we'll see you later.